In my 3 years of rail fanning, I've had a lot of crazy stuff happen to me. Mostly just good trains coming in good succession, or just really good consists. However, nothing is as insane as this. July 22nd, 2025. I was tracking CPKC 528 coming down from Minnesota with CP 8876, the only remaining partially patched Vancouver Olympics unit. This unit has been on my bucket list to catch for a very long time because, well, who knows how long it's going to last. All the other ones have been repainted or patched over, and who knows how long it'll be before 8876 gets patched as well. With such a unique history, I really wanted to catch this unit. However, as it was making its way up to southern Chicago, I got word that it actually stopped in Bensonville, and probably wouldn't be running through LaPorte until well after dark. Since I already was set up to go rail fanning this day, I decided to just go anyway, and I looked at the Cheston cam and waited for something good to come by. And eventually 6K4 rolled through with a CN C44-9WL trailing second. Yeah, no, that was a really good consist, so I headed out to the depot to catch it. When we arrived, we decided to go to the backlit side on the normal side of the depot just to check the signals and see what was coming. And we saw the headlights of an eastbound. But to my complete shock, it wasn't moving. The train was a BNSF transfer heading eastbound, and it had just stopped. We made it to the other side of the depot now that we had enough time, and we saw a bunch of railroad employees holding a stop obstruction sign. Before I really had any time to think about that, though, the gates went down, and the BNSF Intermodal rolled by with a very nice H2-9 trailing second. After that train accelerated from its stop, we heard roaring coming from the west, and all of a sudden this Norfolk Southern manifest appeared, with not one, but two Dash 9s in the lead. Are you kidding me? With how rare Norfolk Southern Dash 9s are nowadays, I'm absolutely confident this will be my last Norfolk Southern Dash 9 duo ever. And since I wasn't even tracking this, it's showing up as absolutely just so lucky, man. I'm so glad I was here to catch this. Continuing the mad rush of trains, it wasn't long before the next one showed up, an eastbound Norfolk Southern Intermodal with a very nice ACC trailing. However, after that train passed, the most insane event of the day happened. Remember those guys that were holding the obstruction sign earlier? Yeah, well, they were actually Canadian Pacific guys who had recently become CPKC employees. One of them drove over and legit gave me this hat and eventually told me that they were there to inspect the Norfolk Southern trains because CP has partial control over this line since they have trackage rights on it, and Norfolk Southern was breaking the rules again. Because of course they were, it's Norfolk Southern. And they were doing a surprise inspection of all trains, which caused the BNSF Intermodal to have to be rolled to a stop so they could inspect it. He also told me that there was one of their trains, a CPKC transfer, that was going to run through very soon. I asked him if he knew what power it had, and he said yes, it had a CPKC engine on it. And I asked him, wait, like an actual legit CPKC engine? And he said, yep, one of the new red ones. So that was added as an additional goal because if you watched any of my previous videos, you know that I absolutely love the CPKC paint scheme. Controversial opinion, I know, but it's my video, I'm going to say what I want. As soon as he left, the gates went down for what we assumed was 6K4. However, it was actually a westbound coal train, and I had pointed my camera in the wrong direction. Thankfully, I noticed soon enough and turned it around as the double C6M powered coal train rolled by. Normally, double C6Ms would be boring, but coal trains are extremely rare on the Norfolk Southern Chicago line, so this was still a pretty good train. And a little bit later, after approximately too long of waiting, Norfolk Southern 6K4 finally roared through, with a lovely CN duo made up of a teardrop window GEVO and, of course, the C44-9WL number 2501 Canadian cab trailing second. Very nice consist. This is, I think, the first time I've caught CN power running on the depot line with my camcorder. After that, we would have left. However, the guys put up a stop obstruction sign, meaning they were planning to stop the CPKC train they had told me about. And I knew, based on where the BNSF train had been stopped, that it would be stopped right by the hospital spot. So we decided to wait for that. And during the wait, Norfolk Southern 29P materialized out of absolutely nowhere with a duo of bean sniffer GEVOs. After that, having already been out here way longer than we wanted to, we decided to go over to the hospital spot to check and see if the CPKC train was there. And after discovering that it wasn't, we decided to leave. However, on our way out, I decided to check the Chesterton cam to see the CPKC unit. I wasn't too upset at missing it, as I'd seen CPKC units before. However, when I pulled up the Chesterton cam, well... Yep, the CPKC unit turned out to be CP8876. First of all, screw the people on the Chesterton cam who told me it wasn't going to be here until well after dark. And two, screw the guy who told me that it was a CPKC unit and not a CP one. That guy was still cool, so no offense to him, but bro, you don't even know what your own paint scheme looks like. Anyways, we turned around and went back to the hospital spot. And after only a little bit of waiting, 8876 and 528 rounded the curve and rolled into their stop right by the hospital spot, just as I was hoping. I walked down a little bit to see if I could get some pictures of 8876, but as you can see, oh boy, yeah, they were hopelessly backlit on this side. I did the best I could, but yeah, no, this looks terrible. The best shot I got was this one, which shows the rear because I was facing away from the unit. However, I noticed that there was a parking lot on the other side, so we quickly ran around and got some absolutely beautiful non-backlit side shots of the 8876. Too bad they opened the door. Here you can see the middle bit where the Vancouver Olympics logos used to be, however you can see where they've been patched over, as well as the bilingual French text of Canadian Pacific. Here's the front of the engine, which funnily enough looks the exact same as a normal Canadian Pacific GEVO. And here's an awesome low-angle shot of it as well. And of course, I wasn't going to leave without getting a back view of it anyways, for the sake of roster shots. We didn't think it was going to move for a while, so when we saw the headlights of another train coming, I thought, well, if I can't film it moving, I might as well film this train passing it, giving me my first static meet. This train was also really cool as well, with an Ace leading and a Tier 4 GEVO trailing third. However, after that train passed, it seemed like the inspection was completed, because 8876's horn blew and its throttle raised, and eventually 528 departed its spot at the siding, with an amazing roar and giving me a great moving shot of the Olympics unit. And after that, we finally actually left, but ended up getting stuck by the train at the crossing, and at least we got to film the KCS rear DPU going by. But that's all for this absolutely insane video. Yeah, just one trip in here, but this one was absolutely worthy of getting its own video. Hope you enjoyed this insanity, and I hope to see you back next time for more rail fanning videos that are hopefully just like this one. Catch those units while you can, especially the Olympics ones, and I will see you in the next video.